What is up, everybody? Hope you are having a blessed evening. It is 10 o'clock here on the East Coast, 7 o'clock on the West Coast. I don't know all the time zones, so I'm not going to name all the times, but either way, it's open mic night, which means it's your night to take over the show. For those of you that are new, let me explain how this works. You will have 5 minutes to get your takes off. There will be a timer on the screen. Please be respectful of that 5 minutes. You will not be on the screen physically. So if you're worried about that or a little bit shy, your face will not be shown. So no big deal there, but your voice will be heard. So we can talk about anything that you want to talk about. We can talk about the draft. We can talk about free agency. We can talk about who the 49ers should trade or sign. We can talk about the defensive coordinator position. We can talk about an exception that you've taken with something I have said. Whatever it is that you want to discuss is on you. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. You click that link, it'll ask you to verify like a YouTube channel or whatever, and then you'll be backstage, and I will bring you on in the order in which you came backstage. That being said, we're going to play the intro, and we're going to get right to it. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports. We are giving you our take down to the last second, and as I said, it is open mic night, which means it's your night to call in. So I'm going to give the same spiel that I give every single week that we do this. Everybody's shy in the beginning, which means there is not a long wait, but we get about 20-30 minutes into this thing, and all of a sudden there's 8-10 people waiting. You do the math. 5 minutes times 10, you could wait up to almost an hour to get your takeoff, or you could be first, get backstage, get your takeoff, and then go chill in the chat and have everybody shower you with praise because I'm sure that they loved what you had to say. Either that or they'll troll you, which, listen, I won't let them troll you too hard because I appreciate you calling in, even if you disagree with me. That being said, we're going to go with Eric first, Alan second, and then whoever calls in, looks like Niner Gang, will be third. Let's get it cracking. What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Jesse? How are you?
Doing fantastic, man. How are you?
Good. So I want to start by saying, if anyone didn't notice, Jesse had posted earlier about a family member that's dealing with a cancer situation right now. If anyone has the ability to help, or even if you could just share that post, it would certainly be appreciated. It's obviously a tough thing for somebody to go through. If anyone has the means to help, they seem like they set up a GoFundMe page. If you have the means to donate, that would be certainly appreciated. I'm sure the family would really appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And I want to clarify, it's a family friend. It's my wife's really good friend, mentor, like business mentor, really good friend. So not a family member, but somebody that we do care about a ton. It's her third bout. Here, I'm going to take the timer off. It's her third bout with cancer. She basically, it was told that her only option to try to survive is spend $1 million out of her own pocket, not going to be covered. And so we're trying to do anything we can to help, but that's where it's at. So I appreciate you, Eric, for bringing that up. Let me start.
Yeah, of course. All right. Yeah. So as you know, I've been calling into your show for a while. I've been following your show, been a fan for a long time. I really respect the way that you go about things, trying to create like a civil atmosphere for people to talk about football. I mean, we're never going to agree on everything. You got to find a way to be able to disagree without like making it personal with the other person and stuff like that. So to show my appreciation for the way that you conduct yourself, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to be like your little bulletproof vest right here. I'm going to say all the things about Brock Purdy that I know that you wish you could say, but you're smart enough to not kick the hornet's nest, which is the Purdy Mafia. And I, of course, am not that smart. So I am going to take a baseball bat to the hornet's nest. Purdy Mafia, start sharpening your knives now. Get ready to dice me up. I'm sure you guys are already ready the moment I said his name. But, okay, so basically, I'm just ready to give up. I'm ready to submit my unconditional surrender. I give up. You win, Kyle Shanahan. Sign Kirk Cousins. I give up. Just this is the guy you wanted ever since you drafted in Washington. You wanted him everywhere you've ever been. Just sign Kirk Cousins. Okay. You win, Kyle Shanahan, sign Kirk Cousins. Now, I've been talking, ever since Super Bowl, I think that they'd be better off if they sign Kirk Cousins. Some people have been, disagreeing with that, and that's fine. They disagree. But I just want to make some points about some of the disagreements. So, what I've been told about Kirk Cousins is that you can't sign Kirk Cousins. He's not a winner. He doesn't win, right? He's only 1-3 in the playoffs. Does anyone in chat know what Matt Stafford's playoff record was with the Lions before he got traded to the Rams? He was 0-3.
Oh,
0-3. Matt Stafford never won a playoff game with the Lions. A good quarterback on a bad team who never wins anything all of a sudden goes to a good team and wins the Super Bowl. This is not unprecedented. It's happened in recent, NFL history. Okay, so this is not impossible that Kirk Cousins could join the 49ers and be productive. Now, I heard someone say the other day that apparently Kirk Cousins is like top 10 in NFL history in terms of career earnings. So it's possible that he might accept like a 1 or 2 year deal, not at full market value, to come to the 49ers to have a chance to win the Super Bowl. I think at the very least, you need to do your due diligence. You need to make that call. You need to call Kirk Cousins and say, would you be willing to come here for $30 million a year, $25 million a year, sign a 1 or 2 year contract? You can play with all these weapons on offense. You get a great defense. You get a chance to win a Super Bowl. So now I'm going to read you Brock Purdy's stats from last year. So last season, Brock Purdy, 4,186 passing yards and 31 touchdowns. All right, so Purdy fans, that's pretty good, right? 4,186 yards and 31 touchdowns. It's pretty good. Good year for Purdy. Because those aren't Purdy stats from last year. Those are Kirk Cousins' average stats from the last 5 years. Brock Purdy last year, 4,280 yards, 31 touchdowns. Over the last 5 years, Kirk Cousins has averaged the same amount of touchdowns that Brock Purdy had last year, and he's never had the same kind of weapons on offense. If you were drafting the Vikings weapons versus the 49ers weapons, the only one that you would take is Justin Jefferson. He's the only one that you would take first. Between TJ Hawkinson and George Kittle, you are taking George Kittle. Between Dalvin Cook or whoever the running back is now and Christian McCaffrey, you're clearly taking Christian McCaffrey. You are taking Brandon Ayuk over Jordan Addison. You know what I mean? So Kirk Cousins has been able to put up similar numbers to Brock Purdy, playing on offense with worse weapons around him. Now, people can say, oh, well, he's on a bad team. He's got to throw the ball a lot because he's coming from behind. Okay, that's fair. But also, when you're trailing, the other team knows you're throwing the ball. Just because you need to throw the ball doesn't guarantee that you're going to be successful throwing the ball. So Kirk Cousins, even on a team with a bad defense, now I looked it up, his defenses. The time that Kirk Cousins has been with the Vikings, his defenses have only been above league average twice in his career. He has had the same amount of times that his defenses have been in the bottom 5 of the league has happened twice in his career. Okay? So when you say that Kirk Cousins doesn't win in the playoffs, is that because he's on a team that isn't that good, that has bad defenses, that doesn't have the same kind of weapons the 49ers have? Is it possible if you sign Kirk Cousins, it could be a Matthew Stafford type situation where also now he's with a better team with a much better defense, he's able to be more successful? I mean, again, like I said, people can say, oh, well, he had to throw the ball because he was trailing from behind. Yeah, but the other side of that coin is the defenses also knew that he had to throw the ball, and he was still able to do it. We saw last year, and I know my time is up, so I'll make this my final point. We saw last year when the 49ers played the Vikings, Kirk Cousins didn't have Justin Jefferson, and he was still ripping the ball all over the field. I think he just is a better quarterback. I don't think Kirk Cousins is like a top 5 quarterback. I think he's borderline top 10, but I would put Brock Purdy like 10 to 15. And when you get to the Super Bowl and you're tied going into overtime, I don't think you need a massive upgrade at quarterback. I think a slight upgrade to Kirk Cousins at quarterback could make the difference in terms of whether or not this team is actually able to get through and win a Super Bowl. Because Brock Purdy, last thing I'll say, Brock Purdy, his first playoff game against the Seattle Seahawks, he threw 3 touchdown passes. In 4 playoff games since then, Brock Purdy has thrown a total of 3 touchdown passes. And that doesn't include the Eagles game. Against the Cowboys, the Packers, the Lions, and the Chiefs, 4 playoff games, total of 3 touchdown passes. That's not elite by anyone's standards.
Okay. Way to come in and kick the hornet's nest. I love it, Eric. Always willing to
listen, I respect people that like Brock Purdy. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's an elite playmaker that can elevate the team. And especially, this year, everything went perfectly. Everybody was healthy. Everybody was playing well. You got the first round bye. You got to play the Packers in the second round. You got to play the Lions in the NFC Championship game. It's never going to get any easier, the path to the victory. You hold the Chiefs to 19 points in regulation. How is it ever going to get an easier path for Purdy?
I don't know. Do you think that there's a path for him to eventually be elite?
his only path is to be like Drew Brees. He needs to have insane accuracy and insane because he just doesn't have the physical tools. So yeah, if he's totally accurate, and again, like the problem is that his play dips in the playoffs. I had somebody tell me, oh, every quarterback's play dips in the playoffs. Tom Brady's play dips in the playoffs. Tom Brady is from going from the regular season to the playoffs. His touchdown per game rate goes down about 7%. Brock Purdy's touchdown per game rate from regular season to playoffs goes down almost 50%. It's a huge drop off. So, I mean, again, when we're talking about Brock Purdy, we got to specify: are we talking about regular season Brock Purdy or playoff Brock Purdy? Because honestly, if he played in the playoffs the way he did in the regular season this year, they'd be celebrating a championship right now. So, do I think there's a path for him to be elite? Yes, the path for him to be elite is to maximize his skill set, which is reading defense, delivering the ball accurately. You need to be excellent at those things, and you need to also continue to play that well in the playoffs. There cannot be a dip in production in the playoffs. If you can play in the playoffs the way you did in the regular season and continue with the accuracy and reading defenses, there is a path. But the problem, from what I've seen so far, is when it gets to the playoffs, his productivity dips, and that's not a good sign that he's an elite franchise quarterback.
Okay, fair enough. Appreciate you, Eric. Thank you for kicking us off, man.
All right, thanks, Jesse. Have a good night, and good luck to all the rest of the callers. Hope you guys have a good time.
Thank you, bud. Oh, that was not the call I expected. Listen, we briefly talked about this over on Grant's show just a minute ago. I don't know what Kirk Cousins is going to be after the injury. I'm not willing to bet that he's going to be the same player, and maybe he is. If Kirk Cousins pre-injury, be very clear about this, because listen, I appreciate you saying that you'll say things that I won't. I'm not afraid to state my opinion. I don't really care if people disagree or dislike it. And if people are going to get emotional over a sports take and take personal shots, I think that says a lot more about them than it does about me. So I'm not really too worried about it. Kirk Cousins, pre-injury, right now is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. It's just the way that it is. You can't convince me otherwise. To your point, he just took what Brock Purdy did and has done that 5-6 years in a row. Like, that's the reality of the situation. We did see them on the field together, and one team was far superior as far as weapons around him, yet Kirk Cousins was by far the better quarterback on that individual day. Now, that being said, I don't believe that even if Kirk Cousins is pre-injury Kirk Cousins, that he coming in for Purdy is going to make this team better, because the way that I see it is the 49ers do have cap space and they can spend big money on a good player, Danielle Hunter, let's say. And the difference between Brock Purdy and Kirk Cousins is not so much of a wide margin that I would be willing to pass up on somebody like Danielle Hunter. So for me, I would say no on Kirk Cousins. I like where your head's at. I like that you're willing to come up with something different, but I would disagree that trading or getting rid of Purdy and going with Kirk Cousins would be a smart move for this team. And Dave says, I got my last one missed over there. Thank you. Appreciate you. Fish says, new member. Appreciate you, Fish and Chips. Dave Barclay says, I need to call into your show, but maybe today isn't it. Totally fine, man. Do your thing. I saw this one. Great one says, Last Second Sports. Yo, Jess, there's some 49ers content creators disrespecting you. It's called 49er Miners. They got your face on a thumbnail and calling you a Purdy hater. I don't think it's disrespectful. I mean, as long as they didn't say anything personal, I don't think it's that big of a deal. If they're disputing my football takes, have at it, man. Hopefully, I don't know why you would put me on a thumbnail and think that that's going to garner views for you. Hopefully that show did very well for them. But if anybody, listen, if anybody disagrees with my takes, I'm not hard to find. And I have no problem doing a show together and talking about it. So if somebody really disagrees and wants to talk about it, we can talk about it. Not that big of a deal. Jeff said, Jesse, the haters are hating on you. You must be doing something right. Yeah, I mean, the way that I see it is like, you either want to be liked or hated. I would rather be hated than have somebody feel indifferent about me. If they feel indifferent about you, then they're not paying attention. If they dislike you, they're paying attention. If they like you, they're paying attention. I'm fine with somebody disliking me. So there we go. All right, we're gonna go Allen, then we're gonna go Niner Gang, then we're gonna go Hadiz, and then we're gonna go to Roscoe's. I'm happy that Roscoe's was able to call in. He took major exception, I think, with my show on Monday. I think it was with Coach. So I'm excited to see the conversation that we're gonna have. But first, we're gonna go with Allen. What's up, Allen? How are you?
Hey, Jesse, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good. Haven't spoke to you since the Super Bowl when we were getting hyped up for the game and stuff.
I know, man. I remember we were so excited. I really thought it was our year. I really thought it was our year.
I was getting happy because I remember the score prediction I gave you. It was getting close to the prediction I was giving you until
I know.
the overtime game.
Up until it wasn't.
Yeah. I like the idea of the last caller, but I feel like spending more money on a quarterback is not the solution to the team. I feel like we can expand other positions we're needing, like corner or D line. There's a lot of good free agent D line and free agency this year than most years.
Sorry, it was really hard to hear you. Is it rain? Are you like out in a rainstorm?
No, I'm in a trailer.
Okay. Super. Yeah. It's just super loud. It's super loud. So
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like there's more ways we can spend our cap space this year than just quarterback. I don't think QB is the biggest need right now.
yeah,
Plus,
they can spend
Brock,
their money more prudently for sure. More prudently, I agree.
Yeah, especially this could be Brock's first full off season, which I feel like we should all be excited for that because for the past couple of years he's been improving, and that's all we've been hoping for our quarterbacks is to not improve drastically, but at least show us at least some type of improvement.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he showed improvement anyways, which is actually really crazy to think about. Like, let's take a step back and remember what happened this offseason to him. For him to take a step forward regardless of that injury and not really have an offseason other than to rehab is actually very impressive. And you have to give him credit for that. And him having another offseason, I think there's some things that he can certainly improve on again. And I expect to see a better version of him. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's going to translate statistically. It may not, but the minor things in his game, I think he's probably going to be a better player next year. I do.
I agree. And then last but not least, I don't know if you got into any college film yet, because I know you've been busy.
Very little. Couple offensive linemen. That's about it.
I'm going to the combine. I was going to ask you if you have anybody you want to key on or
I would say pay close attention to those offensive linemen that are going to be there from anywhere from like projected to be like anywhere from 24 to 40. So pull up whatever list you want that you trust and watch all of those guys, all of them, and tell me if any of them are any good.
Hey, if you don't mind, Jesse, can you make a tweet showing what your list of O-linemen?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can do that. Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate that. And thank you, Jesse, for having me on your show.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate you.
No problem. And then prayers for your friend that's going through.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Cancer sucks, and I'm sure that we've all had a friend or a family member go through it, and it sucks. It always does. But I appreciate your kind thoughts, all your guys' prayers for her. It's awesome. It's definitely hurt. I appreciate you, Alan. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Have a good one.
All right. You too, man. All right. Let's go. Actually, hold on. Super chat. Bleed red and gold. I understand the Kirk talk, but the real issue is we need to solidify the offensive line regardless of who is at QB. I agree. Better O-line and we win that Super Bowl. Yeah, maybe. I think if they were just more committed to hold, that might have been enough. Apparently, they weren't going to call holding in that game, so that might have helped. But yeah, I agree. They've definitely got to solidify the offensive line. All right, we're going to go Niner Gang, Hadiz, Roscoe's, TC, and Chase. What's up, Niner Gang?
What's going on, Jess? How we doing tonight?
Fantastic, brother. How you been?
Oh man, I'm living the dream, buddy. Nice weather down here in Central Valley of California.
Yeah.
Man, well, all I gotta say, man, it's been a good run for the Niners, but I just can't see how Kyle's gonna get out of his head and we're gonna be better next year. Yeah, Brock's gonna be his second year, but even if we get draft a good offensive lineman, is Kyle gonna play him? Kyle don't like to play rookies, and all this animosity with Brandon Ayuk, disgruntled players, and all the defense, all the guys that are leaving. I just don't see it, man. And I just think it's a end of a good run, and I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to get it done, man. And that's just my honest feeling about it. I've been feeling, I hate to admit it, but I've had these negative thoughts about Kyle. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great offensive coordinator, but I don't think he's great at doing them both at the same time.
Okay, they're coming off of a tough loss, obviously. Do you see a scenario where the team is very hot next year and they suck you right back in?
Oh, of course, 100%.
Okay,
100%.
I just want to be realistic here because I feel like everybody that's down right now can get sucked right back in if they start out like 12-1.
Well, last year, I'm on somebody's channel saying that, I predicted we were going to go 9-8, 10-7 at best, and the whole time, even when we got the number one seed and all that, all the chips fell into place, health fell into place. I mean, it was dang near a perfect year for the Niners, and we couldn't get it done, man. And it's like, I don't know what it's going to take, because it wasn't, in my opinion, the last play in the Super Bowl where Brock had to throw it away. It wasn't a line issue. It was a scheme issue. There was more men coming than there was to block. It just doesn't add up, and Kyle's so fixated on his scheme, which, yeah, sometimes I'm sure it works, 60, 70, 80% of the time. But man, in them last critical moments when it's not going to work, he cannot pivot. He just can't do it for the life of him. And he shows it time and time again. And, and I think he's in his own way. And that's just, I think, what it is, man.
Yeah, man. I tend to agree. Here's the other thing, though. I don't live on the side of Kyle can never win a Super Bowl. I don't think that that's true either. But there's definitely some little tweaks that he needs to make to his to the way that he does things, and I think that he can make them. For me, and again, a lot of people talk about the accountability and the arrogance and some of those other things, and a lot of that was speculation. It's what we see that he portrays to the media. That doesn't necessarily mean that's who he is behind the scenes. But reading those articles that I read on Monday was so eye-opening. I was like, you know what? Every single thing that I thought Kyle was, he was in the past. Like, those things are factual. Now, has he changed them? I guess it's a possibility, but it's hard for me to believe that he has changed them when that's still who he portrays to be to the media. Now, that doesn't mean he's not a good head coach. The recent polls came out from the players. He ranks 7th, which I think is about right. So it's not like it's going to be easy to get somebody better. And you can't, in my opinion, advocate for getting rid of Kyle unless you have a better solution. And I don't have that right now. So I'm not advocating for getting rid of him. But if you just think that he's going to turn it on and change who he has kind of shown to be, what's intrinsically ingrained in him, and do that next year, and that's going to be enough to win a Super Bowl, I don't know. I think that's more faith. And I guess that's why we're supposed to be the faithful than anything, because I don't think that the track record shows that is actually a reality.
I agree, man. That show you did the other night, man, about all them articles, I agree with you 100%. It just kind of solidified everything I've thought about him, and not in a positive way, to a degree. And as a human being, which we all, Kyle is, we are, you and I, is we're going to continue to repeat our mistakes if there's nobody holding us accountable. If Kyle's not watching Grant, you, Ryan, and, any of you guys holding him accountable. But he's got a guy like Jed York, the owner, which is probably the only opinion he really cares about, that's saying, oh, we would have been happy if we would have won, if we would have lost the NFC championship game. It was a good season. Well, he's not going to, in his mind, I'm not doing nothing wrong. That's why Wilkes was scapegoated or whatever, however we want to look at that. That's why schemes are being called out. When games doesn't go right, he calls out players. He blames it on everybody else. Trey Lance got hurt. Oh, well, he needs to know when to go down. Then he goes, before that, makes a video about RG3, how he ruined his career, so how it's bad to do things like that. But
yeah,
it's what it is, Jess, man. My 5 minutes is up, brother. It's always great talking to you, man. And thanks for hearing me out and my little rant and rave here, and
sounds good, man.
Have a good night, brother.
All right, bro. You too. Later. Niner gang. Yeah, man. It's tough with Kyle because, you can't say anything that's like, I feel like you can't even speak the truth about players or coaches or what your opinion of the truth is without being labeled a hater. And I think that's a tough space to be in. And I understand it. I mean, obviously, we want to advocate for our team and our players and our coaches. But, I appreciate those that think critically and don't look at every statement as an indictment, as if we're saying the worst thing in the world, or we're saying to fire him, or we're saying, if I say Brock Purdy's not elite, then I'm not saying he's not good or hasn't, done better than what he was expected to, and that he can't still get better, and that he is good enough to win a Super Bowl. Just saying he's not elite. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Just listen to the words and run that route instead of making it something that it's not, because it doesn't have to be something crazy. Just because somebody says this, it doesn't mean that. So that being said, we got Hadiz, we got Roscoe's, we got TC, we got On the Goal Line. What's up, brother? We got Jeremy, and we got Eric. All right, let's go to Hadiz. What's up, Hadiz?
How we doing, Jesse?
Fantastic, brother. How you been?
It's been a while, man. I haven't called in for like a year.
Has it been that long?
I really do. I don't know. Don't fact check me. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah. Fact checkers.
just blink. Like, you didn't see it. But for me, this season was such a great season. Watching it over again, everything fell right into the Niners' hands. Getting the first seed, not having to play the Eagles, had a weird, shaky path to the Super Bowl. The Packers hit us with the curveball, and Detroit had an early lead. They still got to the big game, played well for fourth quarters. They got it to overtime, which I don't think was their goal. I don't even think they talked about it during the meetings. And unfortunately, the Cards played, and they lost. A tough game.
Very
and
tough.
I see a lot of critiques going out, blaming all type of players. And to me, I just think the Kirk Cousins debate, I think it's ridiculous, man. I don't think we need him at all. There's wants and then there's needs.
I agree.
I think I might have lost you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I got you now.
Oh, you're good? Okay.
Yeah.
Wants and needs. I think he's a want. Kirk Cousins, to me, is a want. I don't know how good he will be in the Niners uniform because, one, he's got 3 fatal flaws. He's got no mobility. He's like Jimmy. He won't move in the pocket, and if he does, it's due for a sack. 2, his decision-making. He'll throw those balls that make you think, what the hell is he doing? And finally, he's going to cost money. Brock Purdy is cheap. That's the great thing about him. Kirk is going to cost you money, and it's also going to shake the locker room. And I just don't think Kirk is the right guy. I think, personally, to me, we should ride with Brock, improve the right side of the offensive line, and see if we can pick up a free agency defensive end, or if not, improve upon in the draft. That's how I think the Niners should do it. Now, at the end of the day, if you have an opinion, you're entitled to it. I think everyone is a little shaken up after the Super Bowl. It was a really tough loss. But I can't in my head, I can't see the Niners not getting back to the big game. I think I might be too optimistic, but I think the Niners,
Fine.
I think there's one more solid year for them to get back there. Now, it's going to be a really tough road, but I'm like, I might be optimistic. I think they can.
I agree with you. I don't think there should be a quarterback controversy this offseason. Like, we've had enough of those. Like, let's just ride with Brock. He's the guy for the price, especially. The only controversy that there should be around Brock is probably next offseason. And that's where the debate really begins on, do you think he's worth it? Should you pay him? How much are you willing to pay him? And those conversations are going to be had. But let's save those for next offseason. Let's see how he does this season. Let's see how the team does. Let's see how many players are off the roster going forward. Those are conversations for the future. For this season, I think there's a lot of conversations we can have on improving the team. Personally, and again, this is somebody that believes that Kirk Cousins right now, if healthy, is better than Brock. But I don't think bringing Kirk Cousins here is the right move to win a Super Bowl. He's not enough better than Brock to forego that $900,000 or whatever Brock's going to make. So I'm not willing to make that move either.
Well, I hope I didn't go over the time limit. I was really concerned about that.
No, you're good.
Really,
you got a minute.
appreciate you having my time. It's great seeing you. You're killing it, man. Just keep doing the thing you're doing. Man, fuck the haters, man. They gonna hate you and love you at times. It is what it is. I'm sorry that your friend has cancer. It is tough. All glory to God. I hope everything works itself out. And you have a great rest of your day, man.
You too, man. Thank you so much, Hadiz. Great hearing from Hadiz. Haven't heard from him in a long time. Always good to hear from him. Thank you so much for the kind words. All right, man. I got to gear up for this one. Take a drink of water here. Come on now. Listen. We can say that Kirk Cousins shouldn't be here, and I agree with that. But to say he isn't good, what? Are you? Okay. All right. All right. I guess I just don't know how he thoroughly outplayed our quarterback this year with far less weapons head to head, but he's not good. So that's, I love you, C. Turley, but man, brother, that's just not true. All right. Roscoe's on the goal line. Eric, Jeremy, and TC. What's up, Roscoe's?
What's up, Jesse? How's it going?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm blessed, just living life. C. Curly, please, bro. Anybody who types in or writes in that Kirk Cousins is not a good quarterback, Jesse, you know what I'm about to say. You're casual. Like, just go. Listen, don't embarrass yourself, y'all. Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback. He doesn't need to be on the Niners because we have a very good quarterback. A very good quarterback that Jesse slighted, and we're going to get into it, Jesse. Jesse decided the other day.
Hold on, I thought you were going to call. I thought you were calling about the Shanahan thing. This is not the turn that I thought we were going to go.
Listen,
but go ahead.
I'm going to go 30 seconds on this. Jesse decided to post Brock Purdy's numbers when trailing in the regular season. Understandable, good. I just wish Jesse would have posted Brock Purdy's numbers when trailing in the playoffs. It was tough to find. I did a little bit. I didn't feel like going through the Lions game. I mean, we trailed basically most of the whole game. But at the end of the day, I mean, he led multiple touchdown drives that game. He led 2 touchdown drives when trailing versus the Packers. And then he led a touchdown drive when trailing versus the Chiefs. I think if we all looking all in all to it, he completed over 60+% of his passes, and he had about 3 touchdown passes and led about 6 to 7 touchdown drives when trailing in the playoffs. That's Brock Purdy, our quarterback. Lastly, Kyle Shanahan. How does Kyle Shanahan need an offensive coordinator when we've gone to 4 NFC championships and 2 Super Bowls. That tells me he doesn't need help whatsoever. I don't care what he said back in his day when he was younger. This is a new Shanahan is different. I mean, we all have different ideologies when we were younger. As we grow, we learn. And then people talking about Kyle taking accountability. How does that look like? Y'all want him to go in front of the the mic and say, "Yeah, I should have did this. I should have did this." Second guessing himself? No. At the end of the day, what accountability looks like is going to be behind closed doors to his owner, to his team, and that's it. We are not entitled to hear Kyle Shanahan hold himself accountable. That just doesn't make sense to me. Go ahead, Jesse.
Can I bring this up? Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you, by the way, that we don't need to hear everything that's going on. But when you're a player or you're a coach, I know that it can be irritating talking to the media, but that's when you're talking to the media. I know that immediately in the room it's the media, but you're actually talking to the fans. You're answering questions that the fans have. These are the same questions that we have as fans. And when you come off arrogant and smug as if nothing went wrong in the Super Bowl, a game that you just lost again for the third time, twice, I guess, as a head coach. We don't count the Falcons. That's not fair. He wasn't the head coach. But twice you've given up 10-point leads in the Super Bowl, and once in the NFC Championship. That's how you've lost 3 of your seasons. That's how they've ended. And you say, I wouldn't change anything. But you've got everybody holding Burford accountable and saying that he needs to be held accountable and he needs to confess up. And it's okay that Feliciano called him out because he absolutely needed to be called out. He wasn't right on that final play. Like, I just feel like those things are contradictory. And again, he doesn't have to do those things, but that's a way to extend the olive branch to the people that listen, for better or for worse. Fans are the reason that these guys exist, right? That would be like me coming on here and saying, yeah, I get it. Listen, which is true, by the way. First of all, I don't need this job. Like this, I feed my family in a whole different way. If I lost this tomorrow, I'd be fine. But then to say, like, I don't need you guys in the chat. I'm cool. I'm just going to be an asshole all the time. Like, no, that's the olive branch to the fans, man. Like, that's your chance to kind of win them over. Take some accountability, not all, but just take some. That's all I'm asking. Just a little bit. You don't think so?
Listen, Kyle's going to be who he is, and I don't mind it. He's built a very good football team, bro.
Yes, I agree.
We're going to be in the same position next year. I promise you.
Are we? So you think we're going to be in the Super Bowl again?
Outside of injuries, because injuries is a very big thing. If the Niners can stay healthy, we will be in the Super Bowl again, bro. I have zero doubts about that. And all them casuals who's questioning Kyle, I think this is the end of the road. Man, I call y'all fake foes. Because at the end of the day, we still got a bunch of all pros on this football team. We've got battle-tested guys in the football team. I've seen the Patriots go to 7-8 straight AFC championships. I've seen the Chiefs go to 6-7 straight AFC championships. The Niners have only been to 3 straight. That's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So we can still go far. At the end of the day, again, the results speak for themselves. We just need to win. We need to get over the hump. But that doesn't mean Kyle has to, I gotta call an OC because I can't manage. Yeah, you managed all the way to get us to the Super Bowl, not once, but twice. But now you need an OC. Listen. At the end of the day, we just got to stop running the number 15. That's the main problem. You need to talk about that, Jesse.
That's the original sin, and they're not going to win a Super Bowl unless they beat him. It has to be the way that it is. That's the way Jesse, this story is written. You understand that, right?
I'm gonna leave it like this. I will love to face Patrick Mahomes 6-7 times in the Super Bowl and lose to him 5 out of the 6 times. But as long as we capture that one, I'll take that one.
All right, Jesse. But hey, to be fair, I'm going to air you out on your way out. You did throw a tweet out there saying that you will never hold Kyle accountable and he's perfect in your mind. We got to make sure that we're all paying attention to where this is coming from.
Wait, that's cheating.
You're a casual too.
You shouldn't have brought that up. That's not fair. That is not fair. But
I know
it's
I'm
true.
fighting super dirty.
It's true. It's true. Listen, y'all. It's true. Let me just say this to him, Jesse. It's true. I don't need to hold Kyle accountable. What he's built in this football team, what he's done for us, 3 straight NFC championships, 4 out of the last 5 years have been an NFC championship, 2 Super Bowls. Listen, he took this team out the gutter. Kyle, you built a great culture. Practices are tough. I love every single bit of it. And you are a genius, Kyle. So, yeah, I'm not going to hold the man accountable. He's done great for me. He just got to win a Super Bowl. And I believe he will. Thank you.
All right, brother. Later. I love Roscoe. For those of you that don't know, Roscoe is he's my editor on the back end. So anytime you see video cut ups and you see that those thumbnails are better than mine, just know that it's Roscoe's, man. He's the one cutting those up for me. So shout out to him. It's all love, but he knows he wasn't getting out of here without me saying that. There's no way. Because he wanted to call in and hold me accountable. I'm holding him accountable as well. Nothing but love. All right, let me get to this super chat real quick. Mike Drops the Monster says, can't find the link. I sent it and you're backstage. So I guess that's an old one. All right, let's go. We're going to go on the goal line. We're going to go Eric. We're going to go Jeremy, TC, and Monsa. All right. What's up, brother?
Good.
How you been?
I've been good, man. How are you?
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. You doing well, though?
I am doing well. I jumped in here late, so I'm kind of confused what's up with all the Kirk Cousins stuff.
Well, all right. I'm not going to take away from your time explaining it. I'll be real brief here. So Eric was the first caller, Eric Dane, and he said that he believes Kirk Cousins is better than Purdy and that he should, that the 49ers should go after Kirk Cousins if they want to win a Super Bowl because a slight upgrade at quarterback is enough to win the Super Bowl. So that's what he said.
Okay.
That's where that's
I'm
coming
not
from.
even going to entertain that. But anyway, okay. I'm going to take it in a little bit different direction. So I'm not sure if you've already talked about this yet, but I want to talk about the defense and sort of why Kyle Shanahan's so married to the 4-3 like wide 9 scheme. Lynch said at the combine yesterday, I know most of us probably saw it, that they want to make small tweaks to the defense. What those are, of course, remain to be seen, but they don't want to make wholesale changes, which is kind of understandable. So it's clear they don't want to switch to a 3-4, but yet they interviewed Brandon Staley, which kind of, insinuates that they were going to make the same mistake again, forcing him to run a scheme that I don't think he's ever ran before in his coaching career, which is what they did with Wilkes. So that doesn't really make sense to me. So to me, it doesn't really seem like there was a plan after firing Wilkes. And like, you're going to tell me that the plan was to hire someone from in-house, guys who weren't good enough last year to be DC or weren't ready to be DC last year. They're good enough this year after the defense just had a quote unquote down year. That's why you fired Wilkes. So, I mean, I don't know. The way I look at it is they really need to improve their defensive line if they're going to stick with the wide 9. I think there was a clear reason Wilkes went to a 5-man front early in the season. And then Bosa came out and said, hey, we're a 4-rusher team and blah, 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 blah. Well, clearly it wasn't good enough. There was a reason Wilkes was doing that. The team didn't buy into it for whatever reason. I think Hargrave simply isn't worth the money they gave him because he's not good enough against the run. Armstead misses games routinely now. So they got to get better in the interior with some one-gap guys, I think, some stronger, bigger guys. And I think they really need to go out and find another like D Ford type, an elite speed rusher that they can put opposite of Bosa. I think that's what makes the wide 9 work so well. And if you go back to 2019, that's why that D-line was so good. Of course, they had Buckner too, but with all of that said, the whole David Merritt interview, I find that really interesting. And I'd be lying if I said I knew who that was until today. I had no idea who that was.
Same.
But he's a former linebacker and current DB coach. So ideally, he should be able to tie in the front 7 and the back end together just with his experience. And I think he definitely should be the front runner if they're not willing to change schematically, which I personally don't understand why they are so unwilling to maybe try a 3-4. I get these guys have been in the scheme for a while, but frankly, the truth of the matter is you've lost 2 Super Bowls running the 4-3 wide 9. And why not make wholesale changes? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily need to see them go to a 3-4, but like, here's the thing is that you've got some really good guys like Fangio, who's willing to mix it up. I mean, he'll do whatever he's got to do, but I mean, he'll mix it up. I mean, and you can kind of turn a 3-4 into a 4-3 look. A lot of times it looks like a 4-3. And you're always rushing 4 anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But, you have great guys like that. If they did, in fact, call on Bill Belichick, like, he's going to mix it up. He's going to do some weird things. He's going to have people standing up and giving you odd, weird fronts, and he's going to give you 6 down linemen, and then he's going to go 3-4, then he's going to mix in 4. Like, he's going to do a bunch of weird stuff. So you have to be willing to have a little bit of change. It shouldn't have to always be wide 9, 4 down linemen. This is what we do. And I think they kind of were at their best at times when they did have 5 down linemen for little spurts this year, and they would mix things up a little bit. Show blitzes up the A gap and even drop Bosa into coverage and do, just some interesting things, some exotic things. And I think that they should give, if they do bring in Merritt, I think they should give him some freedom, because that's what Spagnuolo is great at as well. I mean, for the most part, he's going to go 4 down linemen. That's true. But give him some autonomy to do some different things and just trust that he's going to get it done. Yeah, absolutely. I think the issue with Wilkes is they didn't give him any leeway to do what, he's good at. I think taking a guy and saying, hey, you need to do what we've done here for the last few seasons with D'Amico and Saleh, like, I can see where you're going with that, because it's been a recipe for success in the past, but you can't expect somebody who's, maybe better at other things or views football a little bit differently to schematically run the exact same thing that you've been running for years when he hasn't been a part of it. So to your point, if they get Merritt, they need to give him some autonomy to do what he, knows. So that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. I really hope that they that they make the right decision there, and whoever they hire, they let him have some freedom to, do his own thing a little bit to a certain extent. But I appreciate you having me on, Jesse. Absolutely. I will catch you later, my man. All right, man. Have a good one. Good hearing from you. Always good to hear from him. Been a while. All right, we're gonna go to I think it's I lost order because everybody fell out, but we're gonna go Eric, Jeremy, TC, Mansa, then Papa Dragon. I don't know. That may not be the right order. I'm sorry if I'm off by one, but that's what I'm gonna roll with. And besides, Eric always gets in first because he's a Seahawks fan, and I love hearing from him. So, just kidding. What's up, Eric? How you doing, man?
Hey, how's the week going tonight, Jesse? How you doing, bud?
Good, man. Good. How are your Seahawks doing?
Well, they're looking pretty good. Pretty good. I'm hopeful.
Hopeful. Okay. So you called in a week ago. We didn't get to talk a lot about it, but I did. Now that we've had some time to marinate, I have some questions for you. How do you feel about McDonald as your head coach? Are you excited about the change, or do you still wish that Pete Carroll was in place?
That's actually a good question. I mean, I'm excited about it, but I'm also sad about it. It's a little bit of both, because about the thing that Pete has done for us. Yeah.
He's done a lot of good things. I mean, he's done a lot of good things in Seattle for sure. I like McDonald a lot. I don't know. Did you watch the Ravens at all this year?
Yeah, I mean, I saw some games. I mean, he's very good.
Yeah. I feel like he's going to help your guys' defense out a lot, because I do think there's a lot of talent on Seattle's defense. I just think that they weren't necessarily utilized correctly. So I think he's going to help out there.
Now you were thinking that a buddy of yours had cancer?
Yeah, it's actually my wife's friend. She has cancer. It's a close friend of hers. So yeah, any prayers. We started a GoFundMe for her. And all of that, but yeah, she's having a tough time, man. She's having a tough time.
Yeah, I tell you, a few years ago on Thanksgiving, a few years back, I mean, it was really a sad time for me. I mean, I know that holidays are supposed to be are supposed to be like good times, but on this Thanksgiving, to see my mom, I had to literally go with my dad down to a window at a hospital and wave up to her. And this is like after COVID hit. After But yeah, right now, as far as we know, we are in remission. So
Good.
right now we're winning.
Good. 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 I love to hear that. I love to hear that. That's awesome, man.
Yep.
That's awesome,
So
Eric. Good.
now that he has taken care of us, now he can take care of your friend.
There we go. There we go. That's the spirit, man. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Good.
No problem, buddy.
All right, brother. Hey, thank you for calling in, Eric. I appreciate you, man.
Man.
Always supporting.
All right, buddy. Have a great night now.
All right, man. You too. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Such a kind soul, man. I love hearing from Eric. He's one of the Seahawks fans that came over from behind enemy lines, and he's always just kind of stayed. He's always rocked with us over here. So appreciate that. Always very respectful about the Niners. Knows that the 49ers are a very good team, but I always love to hear his perspective on the Seahawks as well. All right, we're going to go Jeremy. We're going to go Monsa, TC, and then Papa Dragon. Oh, see, it's been a while since I've talked to Jeremy, but I know that Jeremy's in a good spot when I got the bike in the background. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Yeah, buddy. What's up, my brother?
It's been a while since I've seen that bike back there, man.
Yes,
How you been?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, first and foremost, all hail Niner gang. Yeah, it's still Niner gang. Horrible, horrible loss. I had us dismantling them, honestly, but I'd say this, born and raised fan and a homer. We have good problems. We do. We truly do have good problems. And
first world problems, right?
Yeah,
49ers problems.
We have great problems. I do want to flame Kyle's ass, so I beg you and Grant to flame his ass. He needs to be held accountable. And when you hear people say stuff like, and I'm sorry, brother, I'm not trying to attack anybody that's on here or anybody that represents the same team I do or cheer for the same team I do. But I gotta hold you accountable when you are just settling for mediocrity. Yes, we're glad these ain't the Chip Kelly, Tom Sula days. We are very glad that we have Kyle Shanahan, he still has a lot of room for improvement. You know, I'm not saying we should fire Kyle. No one in their right mind is saying Kyle should be fired. I just wish that some people within media, I don't want to point any elbows or point any glasses at people. You and Grant should be asking them questions like, hey, are you ever going to hire somebody that's going to, not be a yes man? I just want to hear some questions like that. I've always been, especially like with Jimmy back in the past, I knew Jimmy wasn't the greatest arm, but leadership qualities and stuff that you can't measure, like Draymond Green, stuff that's not on sheets and stats that you can't. Oh, this guy's got no. I just want to see improvement, and we have over the years in Kyle. We have. He's getting a lot better. He's improving a lot at the expense of us losing Super Bowls. It is what it is. We ain't going back, and I don't think we're gonna fire him. But here's the last thing I really, really, really would love to say. Remember, Andy Reid was a loser first, right? Wasn't he like a loser first? And then, so cheer up, gang. We're gonna be back. Is it next year? I don't know. But I just God, I hope, I just really pray that Kyle. I don't know, dude. I'm in my own lane. I'm a fan, dude. I'm not a coach. I coach in my profession, and I would hope that he is willing to put in that work. And from what I've seen thus far, he has not. And how do I know? Because the first thing you do 3 days after you lose is you terminate Steve Wilkes. I'm not saying he shouldn't have terminated Steve Wilkes. I'm with terminating him. It's not if he did or didn't. It's when. So when you start painting pictures as if it wasn't you, that's a coward's way out. that's not growing. You gotta eat it. You know, I fucked up, man. Jesse, I said I'm sorry, Jesse. I was wrong. I thought we were gonna blow them out by 30. I was wrong. Man up. Man up. Man up. Don't run. Don't duck the smoke. Oh, we're gonna fire Steve Wilkes 3 days after we get our. Like you are the head coach. It ends with you. It starts and ends with you. And if you want to grow, you gotta face that, man. And anyways. Other than that, bro, how are you?
I'm doing really well, man. I am doing really well. Bless. I'm just doing good, man. It sucks. The 49er loss sucks, but I'm definitely over that. My therapy is talking to y'all all the time, so I'm good there. And my wife's good. My family's good. We've got health in the immediate family, and so, I mean, that's all you can ask for, right?
Absolutely. And I'm letting you know right now, bro. I swear to God, I was just up in SAC, Mexico, and Europe. I've been moving around, dude. I've been representing everywhere. Literally just left the Capitol in Sacramento, talking to our legislators, and I'm entirely involved with politics. I'm still representing, dude. Don't matter. Does not matter, dude. Yeah, we lost, but it's still bang bang Niner gang. Hey, did you know that where that originated from? Bang bang Niner gang.
No, but I do know that the Steelers took it. If you go to their, like, we were at their stadium. In fact, I was with Roscoe's, and at the top they had a sign that said "Bang Bang Stiller Gang." I was like, really?
Nah, that's not where it originated. It originated in the 50s. One of the old counterparts of you guys, he had the Cowboys shooting up,
Mm-hmm.
The logo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
That's where it's from. Bang bang.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I walked into an old bar down in San Carlos. Anyways, and old timer, he goes, "You know where that bang bang came from?" And, I can't lie, bro. I'm like, no, gee, I do not know where it came
You're
from.
like E40? I don't know.
He's like, man, that was in the 50s, and he told me the whole story. I'm like, oh, okay.
And I've seen the logo, right? I guess it makes sense. I mean, the logo is everywhere. We've seen it a million times. I never really kind of put two and two together, though.
And the original flag that came out that had that the miners shooting up, bang bang, it said bang bang near the pistols, bang bang.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
there we go.
So that was pretty cool to learn. And now you know. But I was listening. I caught the tail end of you and Grant's joint, and I was like, I'm interested in what we do, the moves we make in that draft, dude. I hope we make some upgrades on that line. I really do, man. But more importantly, I need you to do what you do every fucking year. Carry us through this offseason, brother.
I got you, bro.
You got us.
I got you. I got you. I'm not going nowhere. I'll be here.
Bang.
Later, Jeremy. Good hearing from him, man. He's one of the original people. Like, first call-in show, I guarantee Jeremy was a part of it, man. So love his support. Don't hear from him as often. It's interesting with Jeremy. It's like, I feel like he's always here during the off season, and then during the season he's gone. He's just out. So I don't know, but he's a nomad. He's traveling for sure. All right, we're gonna go Monza, Papa Dragon, and then TC, and we're gonna wrap it up with that. What's up, Monza?
Man, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good, man. You I gotta say, I called Roscoe out for his Twitter. I'm not gonna actually call you out for your Twitter, but not enough. If somebody wants to see anybody that's not afraid to rile people up, it's Monza, man. He's with the ish on Twitter. It's hilarious.
You better believe it. You better believe
I'm always liking your stuff, and even if I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm like, this is gonna piss somebody off. I'm here for it. Let me like this and make sure I come back to it later.
sometimes it's the intent. It's just like, you know what, but it's a take that I actually agree with. But
no, I know you're not like making things up. It's just you're not afraid to speak your mind. I love it.
Just spitting it out there. But so a couple things, and shout out to Roscoe, man. That's my guy, man. Shout out Roscoe. But when people talk about Kyle's accountabilities behind closed doors, there's no accountability. Jed said out his mouth, I would have been happy if we lost to Detroit in the conference title game. So he would have been happy with the season. So you go to the Super Bowl, you lose. You think Jed cares? They had their most profitable year as a franchise this past year. There is no accountability. So when you and Coach did that show, man, like it was like a mouth drop. Like the whole time I'm just sitting there with my mouth wide open the whole time that I'm sitting there watching you guys read that stuff, because I've been saying that about Kyle. I just, because like, I don't know if you remember, but I'm like, man, we can get rid of him last year because of his inability to grow, his narcissism, his over control. Like, you can't give a spoiled kid that kind of control over your franchise. But we've been winning, so he's going to keep getting away with it. And then for my 4 conference championships and 2 Super Bowl crowd, like some of the most annoying people out there, is the NFC isn't going to always be weak, man. It's not going to remain weak. Every year since 2019, at the beginning of the season, you've probably been thinking there may be one team that can stop us from going to the Super Bowl. That means your conference is weak. So eventually your conference isn't going to be weak. And based off our last draft class, how many of those players are going to actually be playing? They got their red shirt year in. This is when you typically see them coming out. I just don't see outside of Bill Jr. and maybe the linebacker that was covering everybody.
Graham.
Yeah. And then you got Brown and you got Moody, of course. But I don't see Latu being anything better than a third tight end, unless he improves his hands dramatically. But so this idea that, oh, we're just going right back to the Super Bowl, it's like, look, man, we had like the perfect storm last year. The health was great. That's not a guarantee. McCaffrey had over 350 touches, 28 years old. He could hit the wall this year. He could fall right off of a cliff this year. So I'm just not as optimistic. I do need to see the draft. I'm not as optimistic, but I'm definitely not going to be one of those people that are going to be carrying Kyle's water. It's just not going to happen. It's just not me. And but I did want to bring up a point you had. You said that you don't think that there's a dramatic enough difference between Kirk Cousins and Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is true to a point, up until you talk about Kyle's scheme. Because one thing about Cousins and one thing about why everybody wants a quarterback with elite arm strength, Kirk Cousins is going to make a defense cover every blade of grass, and Brock isn't. So the difference that it would make in the Kyle scheme, I believe, would be dramatic, because I don't think he wouldn't have to leave anything off the table. Now, would I want Kirk Cousins here? No. And it's mainly because of his age. He just got out that Achilles injury. You know, Brock's cheap. We need a quarterback that's cheap right this year. So, no, I wouldn't move on to Kirk, but I do think that it would be drastically. I think it actually would be drastically different. I think our offense will be more explosive with Kirk. But, I mean, hey, that's just an opinion. So.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't know if I guess my point is and it doesn't have to be Danielle Hunter, but let's say very good player. Is Kirk Cousins that much better than Brock right now that he's good enough to overcome a Danielle Hunter and Brock? Right? Because it's not just Kirk. It's like, okay, Kirk, and you're also not signing said player in the free agency. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. I see what you mean. But yeah, I'm all about Danielle Hunter too, man. I see a lot of people frown up when you make that take, and I'm like, I don't know what y'all have been watching. Danielle Hunter is a monster, and you can move that man. You can stand him up over the center. You can stand him up over the guard. Like you can make some stuff happen with.
And he's a big body guy too. Like it's not like he's awful. You know, he can help in the run game, and he's done it without really much around him. Now imagine you give him Armstead and Hargrave and Bosa. Exactly. It's like, oh my gosh, now he's going to get single teams on a regular. Get out of town, man. He's going to have 15 sacks this year probably.
Well, and this brings me to the defensive coordinator selection. It really boggles my mind that you want to continue to run the same scheme when we have a lot of talent on our defense, but how about we use a defensive coordinator whose scheme was great with less talent? Like I don't understand how the Vikings defensive coordinator was never taken into consideration. Brian Flores was never taken into consideration or interviewed about assistant coaching job. Of course, to give him, to upgrade his position so he can actually do the interview. But I think the Brian Flores Shanahan combo would have been sensational, and just let him do his thing. And I think he's good enough to where you can let him do his thing. Still because if you're not in a wide nine front, but he wasn't using basic and classic fronts when they shut down our run game. He played extremely well against our scheme. And who's on that defense besides Hunter? You know what I mean? So that's a guy that has a phenomenal scheme. And when you have a phenomenal scheme, and with our defensive players, I think Flores would have been phenomenal. I think he would have been a phenomenal ad.
Oh, I would love to have Flores. I don't understand that rule though. I know that like if you promote, you can interview. This is where the team
can stop you. The team can stop your interview
if it's a side or if it's a lateral. Right. I do know that, but the question that I have, and I don't know the answer to, is if you're technically interviewing for the same position, so he's already a defensive coordinator. You're interviewing for defensive coordinator, but with the caveat that you are the assistant head coach. Is that technically a promotion in their eyes to where you can bypass that rule? Or is that, I don't know that that's enough. I'm not sure.
I think that the interview would have to be for assistant head coach. And, behind, everybody knows you're going to be the defensive coordinator, but I think that is an upgraded position. It's not the same.
Yeah, I
see teams, upgrade their defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators to assistant head coach so they can pay more money and keep them.
Yes.
So I believe that.
Okay.
So I believe that
makes sense. It makes sense. I just didn't know for sure if that was, you know what I mean? Because it was like when they were talking about like Ulbrich or whatever, it was like, okay, but are they going to just block him from interviewing? I would.
Right.
But if that's a promotion, then that's a promotion. So
yeah, because we got the Jets this year, don't we?
Yeah, we play the Jets. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't get and I was looking at the schedule and I'm like, I don't like the rose-colored glasses optimism. It just isn't in me. And I'm looking at the teams that we play. We play some tough defenses. And
some good teams.
And some good teams. And the NFL is, and I mean the NFC is getting stronger. It's not the AFC level, but the teams that were there in the end, the Rams and the Lions, they have money, they have draft picks, they utilize their draft picks. So it's this idea that, because now, going into the season, I'm like, man, there might be 2 or 3 teams that could shock us. There might be 2 or 3 teams that could, give us a game in the playoffs. So it's possible we can get put out in the first round. And then I haven't felt like that since 2018. So
I don't think it's a lock. Like the NFC was very wide open this year, but that's not going to last for long. Like you said, we talked about it all season, how the door was wide open for them to just step right through. All they had to do was figure out a way to beat whatever AFC team came their way, which we knew would be their toughest game. The point was, if they were in the AFC, there was no way they would make a Super Bowl, but could they beat one AFC team on that given night? That was the question, and the answer was no. And now the NFC is going to be better. It's going to be better. Now, the 49ers can technically be better as well, but it does take a lot of luck to get to these spots. Health was on their side. That's not a guarantee this year. And they're already starting off with 2 of their major guys defensively coming off of serious injuries. They're already starting in a worse spot than what they were in most of last year. So I'm curious to see. I hope they can do it. But also, if they lost in the divisional round, I wouldn't be shocked either. So
yeah, I wouldn't either. I don't know. Anyways. And I think if he's got a home playoff game and he loses it, I think then he would, Jed would kind of start making him, start gearing towards some type of accountability. But it's going to take missing the playoffs before you even consider his seat being hot.
It's also hard to hold people accountable when you haven't held them accountable. It's always easier to be tough on people and kind of pull back versus be light and then ramp it up. It's a very hard thing to do as a leader. So, all right, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
All right, man. Later. All right. We're going to go Papa Dragon. And then this guy, dude, King Jimmy, came out of nowhere and just dropped a huge leg on the chat. Super funny. This guy's hilarious. We're going to go Papa Dragon, and then we're going to go TC. All right. What's up, Papa Dragon?
What's up, man? I'm feeling like a champion because Jed York said so.
Because Jed York said that losing is fine.
Yeah, I don't know what people are talking about, man. I mean, we already won.
It's over. Yeah, you're right.
Even when we lose, we win. It's.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying that. If I'm a head coach, right, and I show up to the Super Bowl, and I get a crappy field, and I just say, you know what? It's all right. It sucks, but we already won. So what's everybody complaining about? I mean, I could have, just said, you know what, guys, back on the bus. We're gonna go practice in Santa Clara. They can Zoom talk to us about the Super Bowl. But I don't need to do that because I already won. See what I'm saying? It's like at the beginning of or the end of the first half, when the clock's ticking away and I'm not using my timeouts and stuff like that, For what? I already won. I already won. I mean, I know that the run was working to the outside. Just like I also knew that, defenses were going to start, sending blitzes off the far edge via DBs. I knew that because, the Ravens did it. They exposed how to beat us. Why change that? Why would I spread them out and then try to get the ball into Debo's hands and on short screen passes? Why? When I already won. I'm just saying. I mean, Kittle should be happy that he was at the Super Bowl. He should be happy that he was there. We have exceeded expectations. Okay? You got your 4 yards. You got your trip to Cabo because you won. You party like a rock star. You party like a Super Bowl champion. That's what you do. I mean, I'm sure most of us show up to work and we start talking to the press drunk. I'm sure that happens to a lot of us all the time. But it don't matter, Jess, because we already won. Should we trade this person, trade that person, keep that person? It doesn't matter because we already won. We knew, at least I knew, that when they spent all the money on Hargrave, I'm like, what are they doing? Hargrave plays 65% of the snaps. He's a pass rusher. I knew he couldn't stop the run. Philadelphia had problems stopping the run when he played there. But you know what? I'm not worried about that because not only have I already won, Jesse, I can just, put that on the defensive coordinator and just let him go. I just let him go. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have to let him go. I didn't even have to go into his office and say, okay, we're done. No, I did. I probably sent Bosa in there or Fred Warner and say, hey, man, go fire the coach. As far as I'm concerned, as long as the defensive coordinator comes here, kisses the ring, and cheers on the sideline like an imbecile, like a fan of the defense, if he does that, then he's right in line with Saleh and D'Amico. Although I did say this. I did say that I thought D'Amico was a better leader of men than Kyle Shanahan. And although I did say that, and I was proven right, and people hated on me when I said we should trade Kyle Shanahan and promote D'Amico. People are like, are you insane? Like, no, I'm not. He's a better leader of men. You want to lead men to victory. Your piece of paper with your plays on it doesn't lead men. But you know who does lead men? All the people in that organization who got up there and took accountability and tried to take the extra weight off the players, try to take the extra weight off the organization, was little 24-year-old Brock Purdy. He acted like he led before. He acts like a leader. But it doesn't matter because we already won. As a matter of fact, if you look at it, let me see, how many times have we not won that we were winners? Let me see. What's that? 4 NFC championships? So that's 4 championships right there. And 2 Super Bowl losses. Hey, we are 6-time good enough champions. That's what the 49ers are. We are the 6-time good enough champions. And you know what? As long as Jed's okay with that, I'm going to be okay with that too. Because that's what winning is. Ask Jerry Rice. I'm pretty sure he's satisfied with that. Or ask Steve Young. Or Charles Haley. Or Ronnie Lott. Ask those guys. It's okay. Because we already run. We already have our participation trophy. See, there's something wrong in America when people don't want to face the facts of what the problem is. And they won't take accountability and learn from their mistakes. When I sat there and said that Kansas City was going to win the Super Bowl by about 3 points, I did say that, Jesse.
You did. You called in right before the Super Bowl. We had our call in. You were the one person to pick the Chiefs. You were.
I told you why. I told you it was going to come down. It's going to be 2 people. It's going to be at the head of it. It's going to be either the kicker or it's going to be the coach. And it's because, again, Kyle controls so much of it. He controls so much of it that what happens is that he becomes almost a single point of failure, even to the point where he called a timeout against the defensive coordinator, screaming at him on the sidelines on his little microphone. Okay? And don't get me wrong, I wasn't there. I'm not trying to judge. I'm not. You know, it happens. But what I am trying to say is that I've never saw that in the Super Bowl before. I never saw one person just take control of everything. Which means if you're taking control of everything, run it, and you want to run it like a king, or you want to run like a king, or you could run like a president, or you can run it like a project manager. And Kyle runs it like a project manager. Whenever something fails in a project, he blames whatever those particular assets are. Oh, well, you know, they're not getting the job done over there, so that's why the project's late. That's why it's not happening. Oh, he's not doing it, blah, blah, blah. There's never, ever leadership in project management, ever. And it doesn't need to be if the king is literally going to get on front of TV and sit there and say, you know what? He didn't have to say that. But I don't necessarily feel better that he did. Maybe he felt better to himself. You know, it's odd. Jed hasn't said anything since. He hasn't. He hasn't said anything. So it doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. It's very simple. Look at what D'Amico did. Look at what Saleh did before then. Be on the sideline. Cheer your butt off. Stroke those guys' egos. Okay? And you know what? The all pros will take care of it. You know, the all pros will take care of it. And just like Kyle's always said, hey, I don't need an offensive line. My system will fix it. I don't need this type of person. My offense will fix it. I don't need this type of quarterback. My offense will fix it. Despite the fact that he goes out and he gets a quarterback. I'm not even angry. I'm just looking at it. I'm just trying to understand. You go out, you get your quarterback. Then you basically run 3 first-round picks up the middle on 2nd and 8 over and over again. What do you expect? This is the NFL. The NFL. It's not easy to win in this league. So when people sit there and say, oh, Kirk Cousins isn't any good. Oh, yeah, go look at them stats. That's not easy to do in the NFL. It just isn't. Okay? Now, I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying that I want him because I don't. I don't care. I mean, they got Purdy. He's cheap. That's the best quarterback in NFL as far as I'm concerned. At least, based on the dollar amount, dollar per pound, he's the best thing in NFL. But eventually that bill's going to come due. And at that particular time, then we'll see. So as far as I'm concerned, look, you were 3 points away. 3 points. In fact, the last time Purdy left the field, he left the field with a lead. Right? So what that means is that you're 3 points away. So you better bet everything you got that the 49ers are going to run it back. But the one thing they can't account for is what the rest of the NFC is going to do. They cannot account for that. Okay, so, but again, as long as they get to the playoffs, as long as Levi's is packed, as long as people are buying jerseys for Jet, it's a win, because they are not football owners; they are venture capitalists. They own more than 50 companies. Okay, and Levi's alone this year, they're going to make probably close to $700 million just in the black. So they got money, right? Money is not even the issue with this team. They're not even missing key pieces. Well, yes, they are.
One more minute, Papa. One more minute. I gave you 10. I'll let you cook. But one more minute.
I'm sorry. I was cooking. I'm cooking. All right. Sorry about that. Hey, I just wanted to say that despite the fact of what moves on or what moves forward is basically this. In my opinion, based on my time in the NFL and based on my time watching the NFL, your head coach should be able to win you 3 or 4 games just on decision making alone. And it's hard to make those crucial decisions in the moment when your face is stuck in an offensive playbook. Yeah, it got you there. But guess what? The NFL knows. We know Shanahan cannot adjust. He cannot draw a play up in the dirt. Andy Reid can. That was the difference. Andy Reid could, because he basically, hey, Pat, just make it happen, baby. Go do what you got to do, right? And you would think that you would put a spy on him so he doesn't run. No, it doesn't.
I heard that play that they ran on that 4th down to get the first down was the first time they had ran that exact play in over 2 years. Exactly. He brought that from deep within the playbook.
That's what I'm saying. Adjust. Oh, they're turning your back. Run. Joe Montana did that, won a Super Bowl against Miami. Yep. He saw the defensive backs. The defense was turning their backs to him when he dropped back, so he ran. Joe Montana ran for about 100 yards that game because they kept turning the back on him. You got to adjust. So we'll see if they adjust, Jesse. God bless you.
All right, brother.
God bless your family. God bless America.
All right. You say God bless America. Oh, wow. Hey, you know what? It did have a little bit of Don King flavor. Now that I think about it. Dave Barclay says, do we actually address the O-line in the draft? I hope so, man. I really hope so. And I think they will. It's just a matter of when. All right, let's go to TC. He's been patiently waiting. All right, here we go. What's up, TC?
My guy Jesse, what's up, bro? How you been?
I've been good, man. How you been?
I've been all right, bro. It's all good, man. You know, before we get started, man, I want to send my man to your wife's friend. For sure, man. That was bad news, though. For sure.
Yeah, bro. It is bad news. It is. But God willing, whatever's supposed to happen will. He's always on time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hey, you ain't never lie with that. But you know what, man? You know what? Hey, you know how I feel, man. You know what I'm saying? No, every time I call, you know, you, Ryan, Grant, you know what I'm saying? No, you know, keep everything to the fire. But I'm glad that everybody is waking up and starting to see, man, about Kyle and being accountable. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good subject. You know what I'm saying? And then the whole Brock Purdy and Kirk Cousins situation coming out now, I'm like, man, how can you like trust this dude? You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like right in your face. You know what I'm saying? All that. It's just like I'm not just pointing any fingers. You know, everybody's gonna fan how they gonna fan though, but like it's like right in your face, bro. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and then a lot of the fan base want to like deny it. You know what I'm saying? Or get on you when you're like, I don't know if Purdy's the guy. Or just little things like that. I'm just like, everybody gotta wake up. So I'm kind of glad that situation is woke. In my opinion,
you know what I think's gonna happen, TC. I think, and I've had this conversation a lot behind the scenes, and I won't say with who because I don't know if they care to have that out there, but I don't care about hiding things. I think that Brock Purdy, the love for Brock Purdy, and I see it, right, because of my opinions on him. The love for Brock Purdy will override the love for Kyle at some point. And if Kyle ever throws him under the bus or tries to replace him, or when it comes time to pay him, doesn't do everything that is expected, that's when everybody will immediately back Brock Purdy and turn on Kyle. Not saying it will happen. It may not even happen, but that is the scenario that would get everybody to be like, we're done. We've seen enough. You did it to one quarterback, great. You did it to another one, great. Now you're doing it to our guy, Brock Purdy, who's done nothing wrong. That's what could really get the fan base like fully on board and like get this dude out of here. So that's what it would take, I think.
Period. Hey, I'm 1,000% with you. And then listen, on the flip side, that'd be crazy too. I'm 1,000 with it. But on the flip side, like as far as defensive coordinator, I'm telling you, we're not going anywhere when you're getting a yes man that's going to come in here. You need to mix it up. The defensive coordinator got to be a guy that's going to have a backbone. And I believe that's why Wilkes got let go, because he had a backbone. Kyle was trying to tell him what to do, and he says, "You know what, man? I'm a company, but I want to do what I want to do also." Kyle wants to call it and manage everything, dog. You get what I'm saying? And another guy coming in here that's going to be a yes man, that's going to be a bad situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see who it is, but I feel like that's probably what it's going to be. You know, I think if they hire in-house, then that's something they feel comfortable with, and that's what they're going to do. And I just don't feel like, unless it's a big name like a Bill Belichick, that Kyle will just give a full autonomy to whoever it is. I think there's going to be some stipulations built in. So I'm curious to see if it's in-house or out-of-house and how this defense looks, if it is out-of-house especially.
Yeah, hey, you know what? That's my two top choice. I know everybody talking about it, but Belichick and Vrabel, those would be the perfect two. Either one of those guys would be the guys who we're looking for. That's gonna come in and say, "No, Kyle, I'm doing it my way, and this is what's going on, bro. You stick to the offense and find out what you need to do." Hey, that's another conversation, Jesse. I know you got other callers, bro. I ain't talked to you in a minute, dog. I was like, man, I've been in the chat. I've been tapping in with Ryan. I said, you know what? I gotta call in tonight because my boy ain't heard from me in a minute.
Well, and not only that, but the last couple times you called, like we had some audio issues, so we couldn't really even talk then. So I'm glad that you called in and was able to work, and we were able to figure it out.
Yeah, man, that's good, man. So
All right,
that's
bro.
what I'm getting.
Good hearing from you, man.
All right, for sure. Thank you, Jesse. Good night, bro.
Yeah, you too, man. Always good to hear from TC. Always good to hear from TC. All right, hold on. Moises says, Jesse, you're my favorite commenter on the Niners. You're critical when needed, but not negative, and you want the team to do well. Great balance. Well, Moises, I appreciate it. I try to remain as balanced as possible. I'm obviously a fan of the team. I'm not afraid to hold them accountable or have a difference of opinion. But I don't know that everybody would agree with you. I think some people think I'm negative. That's all right. They're entitled to their opinions. But I appreciate you for saying that. Very, very kind words. All right, y'all. Listen, y'all have a blessed night. I'm going to be back tomorrow with Larry and Vish right here on Last Second Sports. Make sure you guys tune in. It's going to be a fun one. A lot to talk about. I'm curious to see what their shows have been like this week. I want to get their opinions. And I look forward to talking with them. I look forward to having all of you in the chat. Thank you so much for the support. Much love. Peace.